So getting into this is what I think is the exciting part of our program, is talking about estate planning. It puts most people to sleep, so if you're all ready for your afternoon nap, you've had your lunch, you're full, this might be a good time for you to put your head down, and I'll soothe you with the words of estate planning. Estate planning, so what is an estate plan? Well, really, that's all it is. It's just a plan or a map. It's just a map of what you want to do. And there's two main events that you want to be planning for in estate planning, and that's going to be incapacity and death. You know, those are two things. Hopefully you don't become incapacitated in your lifetime, but you never know. You know, there's a saying that goes, if you want to make God laugh, you make a plan, right? and then something will happen and you'll have to change that plan. And that's okay, because when we set the plan up, we want to be able to make it so it's versatile, so that you can move around between it. Who needs an estate plan? That would be the question that would be asked in terms of, because most people look at it and they say, I don't need an estate plan. Either I haven't saved enough money to have an estate plan, or I'm just not in that situation to think about it. But if you probably do need an estate plan, if you have a chance for any incapacity in your life, which is everybody, or if you have a chance of dying in your life, which is everybody. So that's something that can happen there. And
you're old enough to not have a legal guardian.
Right. And you especially need it. You especially need it if you have a legal guardian, or if you need a legal guardian, or if you own a business. That's another one that you'd need it for. You'd also need it if your spouse isn't comfortable with financial matters. You know, if you pass away and your spouse doesn't do any of the financial, then you're going to run into some trouble. The other thing that you should keep in mind is if you own property in more than one state. That's a big deal, because when you run into intestacy laws, they're state run. So what Kansas does is not what Missouri does, and what Nebraska does is not what Kansas does. So as we talk about that and we look at the map that we would draw, and I'm going to move ahead here so that we can look at this. The map that you would draw when you go to your estate planning, again, we want to plan for incapacity. We also want to plan for death. And this is kind of a rendering of what a map might look like. Now, I did GIS in college, so I had to put a map in there so I could do that. For those that know raster and vector, you can ask me about that later. But in any case, the planning for incapacity, we'll go ahead and click through this just to kind of get an idea. You know, healthcare is one thing that we're going to look at. Property management. When we get to the planning for death, we want to look at wills and probate. We want to talk about tax basics, and we're going to talk about lifetime gifting. Briefly, we're just going to touch on some of these things. Additionally, we're going to talk about trusts, and then life insurance. We talked briefly about life insurance, but we might get into it a little bit more.